Okay, guys, as a master in procrastinating and in problem creating, today I'm going to talk about mindfulness training and how to break bad habits. But first, I want to introduce the speaker, Judson Brewer, a psychiatrist and addiction expert who is considered a leader in the science of self mastery for having combined nearly 20 years of experience with mindfulness with scientific research. He has also studied the neural mechanisms of mindfulness in order to develop treatments to help people with their eating disorders and substance abuse. In 2012, he founded Claritas Mind Science to combine mindfulness and neurofeedback techniques for a variety of conditions. Judson is currently an associate professor of psychiatry and medicine at the University of Massachusetts School of Medicine, where he is director of research at the Center for Mindfulness. In 2017, he published a book, The Craving Mind: From Cigarettes to Smartphone to Love, Why We Get Hooked and How We Can Break Bad Habits. With his team, he has also developed three applications to help users reducing their addictions and problems with emotional eating, anxiety, and smoking. So now I have a question for you. Have you ever tried to meditate? You just have to follow the instructions, so to simply pay attention to yourself, which means to pay attention on your body and breath. And if you get distracted, you should just bring your attention back to the training. It seems really simple, but for some people it's exhausting because they are missing something really important, which is attention. So, why is it so hard to pay attention? Some studies show that even when you are trying to concentrate, at some point your mind will get distracted by something. And it turns out that we're finding one of the most basic learning processes currently known in science, a reward-based learning process called positive and negative reinforcement. So, I'll make an example to explain the first one. We see some food that looks good, and our brain sees it as a source of calories and energy. We eat the food and we taste it. It tastes good, actually, especially when it contains sugar. Our brain will now remember what we've just eaten and where we found it. What happens is that we've just learned to repeat the process for the next time. So we see food, eat food, feel good, and repeat. We have a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. Therefore, we quickly learn that next time we feel bad, we'll feel better if we eat some chocolate or ice cream. Now, let's give a look to the negative feature of this process. When, for example, some nerd people at school see those rebel kids outside smoking, well, they think that these guys are cool because they are smoking. Then, their thought is, if I start smoking, I look cooler. They see the cool, smoke to be cool, feel good, and repeat. So also here we have a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. As we learn to repeat the process, it becomes an habit, which means that later, feeling stressed out trigger that urge to eat or smoke. What if instead of fighting our brains, we just got really curious about what was happening in our momentary experience? Well, Judson, the speaker, has a laboratory in which he tried to apply mindfulness training on people to help them quit smoking. Most of them had forced themselves to quit smoking but failed on average 6 times. With mindfulness training, they started to focus on being curious about their bodies when they smoke. One of the smokers noticed that mindful smoking smells like stinky cheese and tasted like chemicals. She joined the program because she knew that smoking was bad for her. But then she has discovered that being curiously aware when she smokes means that smoking tastes really bad to her. Now she moved from knowledge to wisdom and started to break her bad habits. We must now consider the prefrontal cortex, a part of our brain that understands what's bad for us and tries its hardest to help us change our habits. That's called cognitive control. We use cognition to control our behavior. That's the first part of our brain that goes offline when we get stressed out, which is not really helpful. When it happens, we fall back into our bad habits. Here's why it's important to deeply understand why a habit is bad for us. This is what mindfulness is all about. Seeing clearly what we get when we get caught up in our behaviors, getting less interested in doing them, and naturally letting go our bad habits and form new ones. Obviously, over time. Now, we can understand better, I think, what curiosity feels like. First, it feels good. Then, we start to notice that cravings are simply made up of body sensations that come and go. We just have to learn to manage them in any moment instead of craving. The program created by Judson shows out that mindfulness training was twice as good as the best therapy at helping people quit smoking. So it actually works. So if you don't smoke or stress eat, maybe the next time you feel the need to check your phone when you're bored or you are getting distracted from work, just see if you can step into this natural capacity of being curiously aware of what's happening in your body and mind in that moment. It might be a chance to step out of your habits. Instead of see, text message, compulsively text back, try to feel a little better. So notice the urge, get curious, feel the joy of letting go, and repeat. Thank you. Instead of